Hello. Okay, so this is my second attempt. Spoilers, this is my second attempt to record this tutorial. I'm not calling it, it's not a tutorial. I just wanted to show what my process is of figuring out how to do something where I would be replacing an image or a screen or a paper with something else in a video. In this case, I want to replace the little dude here with an Among Us dude on the paper. I initially tried to do this tutorial just on the fly without messing with anything, and then ended up taking way too long. I was like, you know what, let me prepare a bit beforehand so that I can actually figure out stuff. Because each project has, it has its own challenges. It's not going to be the same every time, so I might be fumbling through some things while I figure stuff out, but I want to give a rough idea of the steps it takes. I'm in After Effects right now, so I have my little my video here. I want to open up there's multiple ways you want to do it. What the steps I want to do is I want to track the surface. So whatever I place on top is going to move with the camera to make it look like it's on the paper. Additionally, I want to mask out the hands because even though the thing I'm putting is not going to cover the entire image, the entire paper, if I want to later decide to put in a different image that will take up the entire paper, I want to have that mask data ready so I don't have to go back and do it. So I'm just going to do it all in one go. You can use After Effects to make masks and animate them, unlike the fingers and the hands. You could also use After Effects to track stuff. In a lot of cases, for me, it doesn't do a great job, especially with complicated things. So I'm just going to show you how I do it with my good old friend, the Mocha AE plugin. Spoilers, I already had the plugin selected, so let me just try that again. Mocha AE plugin, which comes free with After Effects. It's like a stripped down version. So we add the effect, we go to Mocha, we open it up, boom, it's like a sort of separate program. It does a much better job. It uses a different tracking algorithm than After Effects does. So it has a whole video here. I don't want to work with the whole video. I just want this last part here. So I'm going to go to the first frame where the of what I want to work with shows up. I move the work area over to there, boom. So I'm only working with this section here. First thing I want to do is I want to track this shot. What you would do is that you would use the spline tool to select an area where you want to tell it, all right, hey, track the movement of anything that's in this area. You can do one of these where you would, since you want to track the paper, you would select everything on the paper. I don't want to select just the exact paper itself. I want to select the whole area around it. So it's telling Mocha, all right, track anything in here. The problem with this is that it's very big and you can see her hand moves through what you want to track. And that could be a problem because it can get confused with the movement of the hand. And you might not get a good track. So what I recommend is that instead of looking for or just trying to select the exact thing you're planning on tracking, don't bother with that. Find something in the video that is moving in the same plane. In this case, it's her left hand here. So I would find, because her left hand is in the shot the entire time, it doesn't move out of frame, and her hand doesn't move either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a shot frame that has her whole hand like clear, and I'm just going to trace her hand. It doesn't have to be precise, just kind of rough. And I'm telling like, hey, all right, everything in this area here, you track. I'm gonna bump up the pixels used. This section here is that you can tell it to select how you want it to track. Like if I wanted to track just the motion, like the 2D motion of something, I would just do translation. If I wanted to track something zooming in, I would just select scale, so it wouldn't rotate or anything. In this case, I want to track everything. So I want to track perspective, everything, because there's a little bit of that going on here. So I'm going to track forward. That looks fine. Go back to the original, track backwards. And I think that looks okay. You can kind of tell, like, all right, hey, it's moving with it and it's scaling based on anything that's happening. So now with the tracking data from this area, I'm going to select the planar surface. So this little box is the box that I can tell I could send data to select corner pins for After Effects. Corner pins are something like in this case where you want to replace the image inside of a square, which is sort of what I want to do. I'm telling Mocha where I want those corner pins to be placed. So since I want the thing to be kind of here, I'm going to see it's already kind of tracking it. Blind spot. I'm going to be like, all right, this is kind of where it is. Boom. Oop. And then went away. Rotate it. And I kind of want to match it and skew it. There's more precise ways to do this. But I'm eyeballing a lot of it. This is something that's just going to be a meme. And it's, if anything, it'll be like an emote. So it doesn't not have to be super precise. What I'm doing here is that since I'm eyeballing how it's going to look, I want to be able to match it. I'm going to put these lines up against a corner. So when I see the movement, I can see if it drifts too much. So right now it's just using the pure data, the tracking data. And you can see there is some wiggling. Like especially in the corner here. That's not too bad because it's like at the end of the frame. But you can see how it drifts a bit. What I might want to do is that maybe I want to retrack the hand. I might even, this is a good example to show, like, since it's such a small shot, I could attempt to track it as much as I can. Let me try to track this little guy here. He's just a little guy. Let's see if there's enough data in here that it can tell the rotation for, I'm just gonna close this for now. If it can understand the rotation and scale of this little guy. So track backwards. Okay. So the problem with it is that it gets a little blurry, so it's kind of hard to tell. But let's see. We're gonna put a little square guy here. I'm going to do what I did before, where I kind of put it in the same perspective or close to the same perspective. Again, there's more precise ways to do this, but since it does not have to be precise for something as stupid as I'm trying. Oh, I don't want to do that. I just want to line it up and see if there's any drift happening. I mean, there will be drift, but I want to minimize the drift. All right, that sort of looks like it. Okay. So I'm going to move this. All right, I think it did a better job that time of keeping it there. Yeah, there's barely any drift. So I just had to select that guy. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to kind of place these corner pins close to where I would want that composition to be. Since I know the movement isn't really doing too much, I'm going to scale this up a bit. And I can, there's this little grid you can throw on to show. It's just a better idea of how the track is doing. This is a pretty good track. You know, that's not too bad. So what I want to do, I'm going to call this tracking. So I know that this little circle here thingy is the tracking data, and that's it. I might adjust this because it's like a little different. There we go. Okay. All right. So at this point, since I'm here, what I want to do is that I'm going to show how I mask. You can use this program to create a mask on stuff. So I want to create a mask on the hands so that if I want to, at some point later, create an image that is supposed to fill up the entire notepad, I want to make it so that I have the mask ready so that her fingers like don't, like obscure the image, make it look like it's actually over it. So what I want to do is I want to do what I didn't do before is unclick this little gear icon here to tell it, all right, don't try to retrack this layer. You're done. In fact, I'm going to hide it. Don't need it anymore. Now, for the masking, I'm going to find a clean image, a frame of, I'm going to do the left hand first. It doesn't really matter because it's like that. I'm just going to zoom this in. And I'm going to do what I did before. In this case, I want to be a little more precise because this is going to be a mask. So it's going to attempt to cover and cut out this this hand. I don't have to be super, like, the rest of it isn't really in the shot, so I don't have to be super precise here, but I like having it there for motion, for the sake of motion. I don't want to use too many points because the more points there are, the harder it is to adjust afterwards. That's kind of funky. I want to select all the points. I'm going to smooth them out. There we go. And I'm just going to adjust it so that it's a little more close to the thing. Okay, so, and I can click on that. So that's kind of a preview of what the mask is going to look like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I keep doing that. I'm going to track it. I'm going to track it a little slower, frame by frame. I think I want to jump this up here to that. I'm going to do everything. So, what was it doing? So I want to track frame by frame because I'm going to watch closely to see if any of these little points move, which they shouldn't do too much because her hand's not really moving. We're going to have more fun with the right hand because that other hand's all over the place. Oh. See, already, as soon as I say that, you can see on it gets a little out of sync. So I'm going to go a little slower. Track. Oop. I'm going to move that in. Track. Just that. I don't have to be super perfect with this, to be honest, but I can be picky. Okay. And not too bad. That's fine. That's fine for what we're doing. So, and you can see that. So this left hand track. So that mask, it could be used to cover anything I put under it. And I'm going to call that left hand. And I'm going to uncheck that. So I'm done with that. I don't need it. In fact, I don't even want to see it. So now we're going to do this one. This one's a little harder because her hand is moving fast. So I want to find a clear frame. It's probably as close as that's getting. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the other one, where I kind of get sort of precise, but not too crazy. Like I said, the more points there are, the harder it is to adjust it once it gets wonky later on. And it will get wonky. The hand kind of goes a little further. I may time lapse this because it's kind of a long process. So okay, time lapse over. That looks not too bad. I'm not too worried about like these other fingers because it's a fast blur. It doesn't have to be super precise. And as you see, it's just gonna be a mask, a cover, that whole thing. I'm going to call that right hand. All right, not too bad. So we got, right hand mask, left hand mask, and the tracking data. Not too bad of a track. Of course, I practiced beforehand and I sort of found a better way to do things. So I'm going to hold Control, press S to save, and close this. I'm going to go back to After Effects. Now, here's the moment of truth, because even though I sort of practiced beforehand, I didn't see how this track turns out. It might be too jittery, but I want to at least give an idea of what I want to do or how I do it. And if anything, I'll fix stuff later. So now I have my little Among Us dudes. So I have this little guy here that I want to try to superimpose over. So what we need to do is that we need to create a composition, new composition. Now this composition has to be the same. It did it automatically, but in this case, it has to be the same width and height as the original video. Same frame rate, duration, everything. I'm just gonna call this Among Us guy. And boom, we have this. And I'm going to drag my little Among Us dude under the frame. Cool. It is a transparent PNG, so that's the whole thing. All right, so one thing we want to do is that it's going to seem weird, but we actually want to do a transform on the little dude to make him fill the composition. It looks funky now, but it makes sense later. If you do not do this, it's going to just look weird. It's not going to work in the tracking. So now he's there. We're going to go back to our video and let's see how good our track ended up being, because this is how we found out. So first, we have the Mocha data. We're going to go to tracking data. Before we do that, we need to put our Among Us composition we created, and we need to put him in the composition right there. Boom, perfect. Now we don't want him there. So what we want to do is we want to go back to the Mocha data like we had. Corner pin, support motion blur. That's how the way we're going to export our tracking data. We're going to export the tracking data to the Among Us guy composition. We're not going to export it to the video itself. We're basically sending all the tracking data we created with the video to the thing we want to layer on top. And I'm gonna create the track data. So now it's gonna bring up the layers we had, and I want to select tracking because this is we're not using the masks and stuff. We're gonna okay, and let's see what this looks like. Apply export, and boom, not too bad. So what it does is that it stuck the corner pins to the spots we wanted at, and it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I was worried it'd be too jittery. Now, I made it kind of big. It looks a little too big. I knew that was going to be the case. I didn't put the corner pins exactly the size and shape I would want it because we would need to make some adjustments. There's ways to do it. In this case, I want to adjust the thing itself. Now, I can't adjust this composition. If I do that, it's going to fuck up the tracking for the rest of it. I don't want to fuck up the tracking for the rest of it because it's all keyframed and whatnot, whatever. So whenever I need to make an adjustment to what this layer is, I want to go to new. I want to create a null object. This null object is ostensibly nothing, but we can do adjustments to it. So what we need to do is that we need to do our little parent link thing here. We hold that, we attach their little amogus composition to the null object, which means that anything we do to this null object will affect the composition, our little amogus guy, which is fine because it won't mess up any of the tracking transform data. So now I should be able to shrink him. Yes. Cool. I should have put like the anchor point. There's a way to set the anchor point in the middle, but I'm never good at that. This is where it can get tricky. So this is why I try to keep 'cause I'm not sure how much this is gonna mess up the movement itself. But let's see. Let's see. Because I think that might have messed up the skew itself. It's a little funky. Yeah, because if I do that, the tracking, the scale should be fine. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not gonna get crazy with this. I'm just giving you an example. There's definitely things that can be touched up, and there's something to be done with these lines that exist already. Anyway, that's fine. That's tracked. That's good to go. Now let's say you see how like I can show off what the masks do. All right, I'm going to make him a little bigger. There has to be a way I can just set what the anchor point. Can I make this the same? This is me learning as I'm doing. Okay, that's just not what I needed it to be at all. Put the position at 0 and 0. See, what I worry about is what happens if, because sometimes you can mess with the, okay, that's not too bad. All right, cool. I think I could live with this. The scale is gonna be weird because change the anchor point, but that's sort of okay. All right, that track still works. Cool. So I think I kind of taught myself something. Anyway, there's probably easier ways to do all of this, but for the sake of this, I'm going to. What I want to show is that what if I wanted to have this little guy here, and you see her hand, like, oh man, her hand's in the way. It doesn't look like she's drawing on the paper. This is an imperfect track because I position him in a weird place, but let's just ignore that for now. I just kind of want to show what the masking does. Okay, so going back to this video, in order to create the masks for the hands, we need to duplicate this video. Control D. I'm gonna put one all the way on top. I'm gonna go back to Mocha Effects. Instead of tracking data, I'm going to go to matte. For the matte, we're going to view matte. So right now the right hand is selected. So I'm gonna go to all. So it shows all of it, but we don't want all of this. We're gonna go visible layers. We're going to select the left hand and the right hand. Okay, boom. Because technically the tracking data has a mask, and we don't want to mess with the mask with the tracking data. So here we go. Our hands are there. You can feather them in here, but I like to do that in the thing itself. So okay, we're going to create AE masks. Boom. Dun, dun, dun. What is this? Oh, alrighty. So boom, it's on top. Once again, the tracking is weird, but that's because I moved the position too much. But that's right. I could like change the corner pins if I like really wanted to do it correctly. But I'm just doing this to give you an example of what this looks like. So that looks sort of okay. But what I would want to do is you can adjust the masks in the layer. So for the right hand, I do want to feather it a bit. We're gonna get a feather going on. Feathering will save your life. This is what really helps. See, look at that. Feathering makes it look so much better right off the bat. See, like that's kind of fuzzy, so maybe I want to take down the feathering a little bit. But that's still very good. Wow. I can expand the mask a bit. I can contract it a bit. And that's cool. I don't know what's happening here. This is bugging me. This is where I screwed up my mask, I guess. Oh, it's the shadow? I don't know. Expand it. Oh, okay. Because so the mask is only being affected by what's in between. So if I do this, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right. I'm just kind of messing with things. So this guy. Yeah. Do I want to put a motion blur onto the mask? I don't think so. Oops. Yeah, motion blur is too much. That's too much. ease it? I think I can ease the animation. Now it's getting picky. Doesn't matter. Anyway. So yeah. So now we have these masks and the whoa. Same thing with the thumb. You can see like the thumb's covering it too. So if I wanted to later try to put in a whole thing, that's fine. It'll work. What I do want to do is I kind of want to get rid of this null object. And I'm going to reset all this. Reset. I'm going to close all this, get rid of this tracking data, and reset the corner pins. Because I don't like how that the positioning, I kind of just did it for scale for now. But what's cool is I can go back into Mocha, go into tracking, bring up those corner pins again, and I'm just gonna scale it down. I'm gonna put it right there. And just do it that way. Control S, close it, and do it again. So corner, create track data, apply export. Oh, I had to wait for that. I'm going too fast for it. Boom. And there we go. Oh, I goofed big time. I forgot a couple things. I forgot a couple steps. We're just gonna delete it. There we go. That's the fast way to fix problems with your composition. You get rid of it. Let's try this again. Goes guy. Boom. Okay, cool. It does not have any keyframes. That's what we wanted. Let's try that again. Effect controls. I'm gonna go back into this because I was gonna need to rotate it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, save that, close it, try this again. Create tracking data. Wait for it to pop up instead of going too fast. I'm going to select Among Us guy, apply export, boom, okay. So yeah, so now we have our dude. Now, if I was doing this for real, I would I would move it so that it covers these lines. There is a nifty way I can get rid of these lines, but that's for a different tutorial. So yeah, so for one thing, when you put the composition, Among Us dude's gonna be there the whole time. Do not want him there the whole time. We want him just as soon as this frame pops up. I'm gonna go to the exact frame he comes up in. I'm going to shorten the length of that to that frame so that, he's gone. And he only appears, boom, right there. Another thing I want to do is that I want to select motion blur here. And that's gonna, because he is moving a bit, so it's gonna make it look a little more believable. Also, the other thing that you may have noticed is, Among Us. The coloring is a bit off. He's a little off-white. It may not show too well in the video, but I want this to match the paper a bit. So I have another plugin. You don't need a plugin for this, but it's easier for me. I got it's called Match Levels from AE Boss. going to drag that into our little Among Us thing. You can do the same thing with the levels effect with some other stuff. It just takes a little longer to do. This just has all the buttons there. What this is going to do is going to attempt to change to match the color levels, the black levels and the white levels to the original image. So the input in the black, the eyedropper, I want to select the darkest part of the Among Us dude, which is, since it's black and white, it's pretty easy. White in the middle, boom. Now for the output black, I want to pick the darkest. I want to go like super dark black. This is too black. I want to go to like around here. Somewhat darkest part of the image. And for output white, I want to select the paper because that's the white I want to match. And boom, not too bad. Like you can see, it kind of looks like it's on there. Like, yeah, I don't think I really, you can mess with the RGB levels. Like it's a little too blue. So I might want to like bring in the blues. How do I do this? Oh, it's here. I may want to bring in the blues. Oh, did I fuck that up? I fucked that up. Doesn't matter. There's ways to mess with this. I don't think I want to mess with this, but yeah, it's not too bad. I'm going to do my little null object thing, see if that fucks it. I just want to make this bigger, and I feel like all right, it's not a lot, so I shouldn't mess the tracking too much. Oh, but now now you can see it on the other end. Okay. Well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the corner pins to make that easier, but I won't record that, so I'll probably just cut it. Cut. Okay. Okay, we're back. All right. I kind of fixed it a bit so that kind of works a little better. So yeah, it I mean, this would have to be cut in a way, like to make it into an emote. There would need to be some editing. But I think this is fine. This is fine. It's believable enough, especially from like a distance. I mean, there's ways you can like match stuff up to kind of like make it seem kind of more believable. But most of the work is done. Like I cut out the masks so I can kind of do whatever I want on this part. It's just a matter of like getting those corner pins correct and you know, just going from there. So yeah, that's my quick little tutorial of that. I need to edit this because it ended up being like 45 minutes and I don't want it to be like 45 minutes. So I'm going to do some time lapsing. So, all right, enough of that.